everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today we are playing SULTAI Goryo's Brew, and I've been working on this one for some time, and I feel like finally with Kiora the Rising Tide print, this build is not just possible but also very good. I've been super impressed with how well this deck played out. Okay, so for those who don't know, this deck plays Psychic Frog Griselbrand combo, which can be used to kill your opponent on turn 3. So Griselbrand draws cards and Psychic Frog discards card for counters, so you can just draw 14 cards. Goryo's Vengeance Griselbrand on turn 3 with Psychic Frog on the field and attack opponent for lethal damage. And both creatures will have flying, and it's pretty effective. I had multiple situations where I was able to surprise opponent on turn 3 and kill them. If it doesn't happen on turn 3, it can happen later at any point of the game. It's just a very efficient way of killing your opponents. So I really like this build for multiple reasons. And those are that there are multiple ways to actually get value from Griselbrand. We got Agatha Soul Cauldron, which work well with Psychic Frog and Griselbrand. We also got Grist the Hunger Tide, and we also got Emperor of Bones, which can profit from putting counters on it. So there is enough of interaction for Agatha Soul Cauldron to be very good, not to mention when you exile the Griselbrand and you get the draw 7 card ability on your creatures. That is truly amazing. Okay, so only 4 big Goryo's targets in this build because we got Kiora the Rising Tide. This card is not just enabler for this deck. It doesn't just put Griselbrand in the graveyard. It's also a legendary creature card, which is pretty decent to Goryo's, since Goryo's gives creature immediately haste, and Kiora enters the battlefield, does a draw, discard, so you can draw cards you need, discard cards you don't need, or your Griselbrand's Grists or whatever, and then attack and immediately make this 8/8 creature, put it on the field. So even when Kiora is exiled, you are left with 8/8 octopus, which can really end games quickly, and it's hard to deal with, especially when you put Goryo's when you put Kiora in the battlefield with haste and you make it immediately. Okay, so one Grist in this build. I decided that I like first Grist better than third Oculus or fourth Kiora. And after I decided to splash green for Haywire Might, I also decided to add the first Grist to the main. And this deck plays Unearth, plays Agatha Soul Cauldron, and the Goryos, and all these cards can really like return Grist from the graveyard. That's pretty cool. So it has a lot of interaction with Grist. And you'll mostly like, it's okay to cast it as well, but you'll mostly like either want to unearth it or cauldron it and use their abilities. But yeah, Grist is a solid, I think, one-off in this build. The 2 Boggart Trollers as a 22 lands for this deck, but also I think Boggart Troller is a cool piece in this build which plays unearths and can reanimate it, and it can be important reanimate target against decks playing Flage. Okay, so that's it. Another Emperor of the Bones, another way to reanimate your creatures, especially Griselbrand, and it also profits from Agatha Soul Cauldron, and it's another let's say additional reanimate piece, which can also sometimes play around Graveyard Hate if you exile a creature with it before opponent triggers the Graveyard Hate, or you can just target a creature in your opponent graveyard to reanimate their creature, or for example you can just target creature in your graveyard. If they don't spend like Soul Guide Lantern to remove it, then it comes under Emperor, and it's not in a graveyard anymore, so Graveyard Hate can no longer prevent it from reanimating. So it's a tricky card to deal with, and it's a great piece in builds like this one. Okay, so 2 Oculus in this build. So 2 Oculus in this build help the fair game plan when you're playing against when you don't have the when you don't find the Goryo's Vengeance, it's super easy to fill the graveyard in this deck and cast Oculus early. You can do it on turn 2 with Phyrexian Tower and Stitcher Supplier. You can also cast Kiora on turn 2 or Grist. All these three drops you can cast them on turn 3 with Phyrexian Tower and Stitcher Supplier. So that's definitely a very strong play which can win some games as well. And okay, in this build I got 2 spell snares, fatal pushes, 3 touches for my interaction. There are my interaction pieces. And also Emperor of the Bones can hit opponent's graveyard as well as Agatha Soul Cauldron. Grist can also kill creatures. So there is a lot of stuff going on here, but it's a highly synergistic build. Also we got unearthing all these creatures, and Psychic Frog, Emperor of the Bones, can be very efficient as well. And I feel like this is a very efficient strategy at the moment. I think that this deck wins against a lot of combo decks, but it's also good against energy. And there's just not enough graveyard hate in the meta at the moment. And most of the graveyard hate is artifact based, so you can force your opponent to use graveyard hate like Soul Guide Lantern by unearthing, trying to unearth Kiora or Oculus or whatever, and then like Goryo's in response to them cracking or stuff like that. A lot of tricks you can use and a lot of ways you can deal with artifact based graveyard hate. Okay, so that is it. We are now ready. Let's go check out the gameplay and see how it went. Okay. In first match, I only got one game. We'll see what happened. Okay, so I start with a decent hand playing first. I have a Psychic Frog and I can go for Surveil on turn 1. So I go for a Surveil, I leave Bogat Roller on top. This enables me to play Psychic Frog on turn 2. So I definitely like that. I have Goryo in hand and I have Griselbrand, which means I have a turn 3 kill available here. But my opponent kills my Kozilek command. So I was unfortunately not able to kill them on turn 2, but I still got Griselbrand. Griselbrand attacks here for 7, then I draw a lot of cards, and I'm looking for mostly like Totsis in this situation. So I go for Totsis, exile their ring, and yeah, their hand is kind of trash now. They got Worldbreaker and Emrakul. They're able to cast a Worldbreaker this turn, but that means they don't have anything else in hand, so that's fine by me. So I go for another Griselbrand here, draw a bunch more cards, and opponent blocks my Griselbrand there. So I draw a bunch of cards, I leave good stuff in my hand. And I have so many options here, so many stuff I can do. And I decide to go for a Stitcher Supplier sack first, then play the Emperor of the Bones, bring back Griselbrand, attack for 7 again, third turn in a row attacking with Griselbrand, then reanimating the Boggart Roller, discarding some cards and passing the turn. My opponent loses all, they have that Emrakul in their hand which they can cast, and they didn't find anything they need. I'm not sure what that could be, but yeah, they're in a pretty bad position and they concede, but they didn't just concede this game, they decided to concede the entire match after losing this one. Okay, so let's check out match 2. I guess that was a pretty quick match 1. Okay, so let's check out match 2. I got turn 2 Psychic Frog, potential turn 3 Kiora, or even better. Okay, so I go for Frog here, pass the turn. My opponent is obviously playing the Belcher. Okay, so they play their Phalange Archaeologists. I go for, I'm looking for a Griselbrand here. If I find Griselbrand, I have potential kill. So that is why I was trying to unearth Kiora, then try to find Griselbrand and Goryo's Griselbrand for immediate kill. I didn't find that, so instead I go for Emperor of the Bones. Emperor of the Bones brings back my Kiora now. I discard 2 cards and I go for Totsis. Discard Tameshi, exile Tameshi, attack with everything I have here. I go in for 5 damage, put my opponent down on 10. Next turn I have lethal here. And yeah, my opponent didn't find... I have lethal because they have to play like... paint themselves to play, put Chellbelcher on the field, and then they are on 7 and I just kill them next turn, so that's not a possible play for them, so my opponent concedes. Let's check out game 2. Okay, let's also check out the sideboarding plan. As you can see here, I decided to remove my Oculus. I don't really need them in this matchup. They are too slow, they don't need the grindy cards. I need disruption. So I brought in the 4th Totsis from the sideboard, my Spell Pierces, my Consign to Memories, also remove a couple of Fatal Pushes, 1 Kiora and Grist, and 1 Unearth, 1 Cauldron. Okay, so I go for Emperor of the Bones here, exile the Phalange, and pass the turn. So Emperor there helps me to start attacking, and I just need something to start attacking, then hold like Consign to Memory, Nihil Spellbomb, and look for my combo pieces, try to kill them. Okay, so I play my Nihil Spellbomb, I surveil, looking for something good from the top, and I find a Frog. Frog is pretty good. So finally I start attacking with Bogart Roller. My opponent has a bunch of cards in their hands, 7 cards at the moment. Okay, so they could have something like Flare, but I decide to still just not Fatal Push Phalange Archaeologist. Let it live, save Fatal Push for Tameshi if they play it. And here I go for Psychic Frog. My opponent unfortunately has a Disrupting Shoal. Exiles another Disrupting Shoal to counter my Frog. That's fine, opponent suspends the Lotus Bloom, plays another land, and now they're on 3 cards. And they play Tameshi, that's fine by me, I have a removal for Tameshi. I exile their graveyard, try to draw a card here. And yeah, here I find a Frog. That is a good top deck in this situation. I only play 1 Frog here and hold a Consign to Memory in case they have a Charbelcher. I know they have it, so I was holding it. I replicate it just in case they have like Pact of Negation. So I counter that, and yeah. I give my Frog flying, discard couple of cards, and go through for 3 damage, put my opponent down on 8, and play the Nihil Spellbomb. Nihil Spellbomb can prevent something like Tameshi kill, so that's why I boarded it in. Opponent plays the Charbelcher, but I have a lethal next turn with on the field, so that is game over. And that is a match against the Mono Blue Tameshi Belcher. Let's check out match 3. Okay, so match 3, I think I played against Dimir Froculus. Not 100% sure. Okay, this is a pretty cool hand. So I got turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, and I can play a lot of 3-drops. So if I draw a good 3-drop, I can cast it with Phyrexian Tower like Kiora or Oculus, but my opponent is holding 2 mana. Okay, so my idea here was if I resolve Agatha Soul Cauldron against them, that's game over. So I wanted to go for Agatha Soul Cauldron and hold the spell snare for counterspell, but unfortunately they have a spell snare of their own, so that didn't really work. Okay, I play another Stitcher Supplier, mill more cards to the graveyard. Unfortunately, my Agatha Soul Cauldron is milled, and now opponent plays Harbinger of the Seas. I got a good response to Harbinger. I play Kiora. They have to kill Kiora. If they don't kill it, I will make an 8/8 Octopus token, which could be a problem for them. Okay, so I go for the attacks. Do 3 damage, make 8/8 Octopus. That gives me a game against them, but opponent has a Swamp. And they have Emperor of the Bones reanimating my Griselbrand, unfortunately. So they were able to draw a bunch of cards with it. Drawing 7 cards here. And yeah, it was like really strong. Now my Griselbrand is also exiled. And I still don't have black mana to cast this Fatal Push. But yeah, here I find the Swamp from the top of my library. So once again, I was able to attack with Octopus, put my opponent down on 5 life, hold Spell Snare and Fatal Push for their turn. They go Thought Scour, target themselves, draw a card, play land, and yeah, it's still just passing. Next turn they will have to block my Octopus, and if they kill my Octopus, I can just attack with Kiora to make another one. Okay, unfortunately, I need Revolt to kill their Oculus, so I was not able to do it on their turn. Now my Octopus dies, my Stitcher Supplier dies, so I have a Revolt trigger. I can use it to play the Fatal Push, kill the Oculus. Okay, so I finally go for that. Unfortunately, I can't really double spell. I can't play Unearth on this turn. My opponent uses another Emperor of the Bones ability, attacks me down on 6 life. And yeah, now I'm in a problem. I can attack with Kiora though, make another Octopus. That is cool. Yeah, I play Kiora here. That was like pretty unnecessary. I should have waited with Kiora draw. And I discard Unearth and Goryo's Vengeance there. I have Frog in the yard. And I have another Unearth in hand. I have Fatal Push and Spell Snare. So I go for that Unearth, create my Octopus and pass the turn. So opponent here has Fatal Push to kill my Octopus token. They also have another Fatal Push to kill my Frog. So that is lethal. And let's check out game 3. I should have played that Kiora obviously in the second main phase. That way I will have another blocker. But never mind. Okay, so I won this game. So it didn't matter. Okay, so I kept a medium hand. I have Frog, I have Griselbrand. So I need either like Agatha Soul Cauldron or Goryo to turn this into a really good hand. Okay, my opponent plays Psychic Frog of their own. I go for it. I don't have I don't have much to risk here, so I go for Goryo's on Griselbrand. If they have spell snare, they have it, and if they don't, I just win. So I go for Goryo's Vengeance, reanimate Griselbrand, draw 7, and my opponent has to jump with Frog, and that puts them in really bad position. They also have to exile cards from the yard to give Frog flying. So yeah, that puts them in a terrible position, and I draw a bunch of cards, so my opponent concedes immediately, and that is a match against Dimir Froculus. So let's check out match 4. All matches like really fast so far. Match 4 starting first. I decided to mulligan that first hand And I think it's really important to mulligan well with this deck. So I decided to go for Surveil on turn 1, then go Frog turn 2. Again, I can go like turn 3, Soul Cauldron, exile Griselbrand from the yard, grow my Frog to 2 turn kill, which is very hard to kill for opponent playing mono red deck. Yeah, if they don't have double food here to kill my frog, they are in a pretty bad situation. Okay, so I go for Agatha Soul Cauldron, discard Griselbrand, and I exile the Griselbrand below the Agatha Soul Cauldron, and my opponent concedes immediately. Yeah, that was again another really super fast win, and the Frog plus Griselbrand combo was just super efficient for me, won me so many games. Let's check out the sideboarding plan against mono red food. Okay, so for this matchup I decided to remove the spell snares. They don't have as much spell snare targets. This kind of decks play Inti, they also play Fear, FOMO, but I don't think that's enough targets. I think spell snare probably fine, probably not as good as you would want it to. So I trimmed third Kiora, third Totsis, third Unert, and to bring in some cyber cards like a couple of Nihil spell bombs. And additional removal in Shoot the Sheriff. Okay, so I go for a Stitcher Supplier there, and I play the Psychic Frog. I have Frog. I can play the Oculus next turn. I was not able to play it this turn. I think like Oculus is a pretty good card in this matchup. Okay, so opponent tries to bolt my Frog. I don't think that was a good choice by the opponent. I'm happy to discard 2 cards here, say my Frog. And I think opponent should have done that on their turn. And now they go for Channeler with haste, they go for Soul Guide Lantern, but yeah, my Frog easily easily blocks the Channeler here, or I have Supplier to block Ragavan, so they will go through with 4 damage, but yeah, that's just not enough. In a situation like this, they sacrifice their Channeler and Ragavan just to go in for 4 damage, and I have Oculus next turn, so that's definitely not enough. And I can attack with Frog, put them down on 13, play Oculus, which gives me 2 blockers on their turn. I also get to draw a card with Frog. Yeah, it's a really strong situation here for me. Also, I boarded in my Havar Mites, couple of Havar Mites, very good in this matchup. I can exile the Urza Saga, I can exile the Underworld Cookbooks, or Soul Guide Lanterns, or whatever. Very good card in a matchup like this. So I find it with Oculus, I'm able to turn it up, exile the Cookbook. I think that was pretty important here. I attack with Frog. Opponent doesn't want to let me draw here, so they jump with Fear. I'm okay with that. They have Inti. I have 2 blockers for Inti, Oculus, and my manifested creature. So opponent draws a card, sacrifices their Soul Guide. They attack with Inti just to draw a card. They have their Daredevil, of course, which they can discard and return later easily to hand. I decide to block with Oculus, risk them having Bolt or whatever. Opponent only plays another Inti and another Soul Guide Lantern, and this time, fearing another Oculus, they decide to sacrifice it immediately. I go for attack and play another Frog and another Agatha Soul Cauldron, which can help me remove their Owl Chase Daredevil. I have 3 blockers here, so I remove the Daredevil, put a counter on my Frog, block the Inti, and my opponent tries to find something. They don't get it, so that is game over. Okay, so and that is also very quick win against mono red food. So let's check out the last match of this league, the match for trophy with this Goryo's build. And yeah, okay, so I'm mulligan to 6. Mulligan to 6, I keep push, Goryo's, Oculus, and Troller. Not a great hand, but this hand can easily turn into a pretty solid one. And my last opponent is Domain Zoo. I have a pretty good hand to play against them. I keep a double push hand, that is great. And but opponent now finds a Sino Jacob that is hard for me to kill. But I find Oculus and put it in the yard, then find Unearth from the top to bring back Oculus. And the great thing is, the really super powerful thing is I can cast another Oculus next turn. That is super sweet. Okay, so I go for a Surveil, put another land in the yard. I can play my Oculus and still leave like another Oculus in the graveyard if I find another Unearth or something like that. I can go for Surveil and hope to surveil something good in the yard for Goryos. And here you can see me finding Griselbrand with Oculus ability. I also get another Surveil ability. So I put another land in the yard. I go for the Goryos and I can attack them with Griselbrand. Griselbrand is basically almost lethal here. I'm missing 1 damage, and I can also play Frog and discard a bunch of cards on Frog, make it really big, and make it able to block the Scion. And yeah, that's like really strong, and secures my win next turn. So yeah, opponent concedes. That is game 1. Let's check out game 2, and let's check out the sideboarding plan against Domain Zoo. All Totsies go out against them. This is unnecessary life loss. They're very aggressive deck. Tribal Flames, Lightning Bolts can finish you up very quickly. Okay, 1 Kiora, 1 Unearth, 1 Grist also go out. These are all like slower mid-range cards, and Unearth is just Unearth and Emperor of the Bones are like a graveyard related pieces, and I do expect them to bring in some amount of graveyard hate. Okay, so opponent tries to go for Territorial Kabu. I have Spell Snare, and I find Griselbrand and Harbinger of the Seas in the graveyard. This means I can, if I find an Unearth, I can go for Harbinger. I already have Goryos to reanimate Griselbrand. So Fatal Push goes in the yard. I did that just to have 7 cards in the yard, so I can play Oculus and still have like a Griselbrand left in the yard for the Goryos. Yeah, maybe this was a mistake, because maybe the better play, safer play here was holding Consign to Memory in case they find Sino Jaco, and they happen to exactly find that on that turn that when I tapped out. Kind of unfortunate. I find Goryo's Vengeance, another one, I keep it on top. What I want to do here is instant speed reanimate Griselbrand when they try to attack with Scion. Then I can block Scion, and I can also draw 7 cards, which is amazing. Okay, so I go for it. I go for Goryos, and I have a Consign to Memory if my opponent plays Leyline Binding or something like that, but they have Stubborn Denial, unfortunately. So I draw my second Goryos, and I decide to pass again and try to do like basically the exact same play, and again holding the extra mana for Consign to Memory. Okay, so opponent again goes for attack with Sino Jaco, and I go for Griselbrand. This time they don't have Stubborn Denial, and it's like insta loss for them. I gain 7 life, I kill their Sino Jaco, I draw 7 cards, and yeah, I also have like Shoot the Sheriff, Agatha Soul Cauldron, Consign to Memory, so my opponent concedes. that is the match. And yeah, that is actually the entire league. All 5 matches got the trophy with this sweet build. I'm really into this one. I really like how it played out. The possibility of a turn 3 kill against the combo decks, it feels like such a big deal, and that's why I like this build with 4 Griselbrand, Agatha, Cauldron, Psychic Frog, and this allows me to do turn 3 kills when you're playing against combo decks such as Storm, and when you're on the play you can easily just kill them on turn 3 before they attempt to storm out or whatever. You can very easily win against a Childbetcher combo on this same way. They don't play Graveyard Hate, very little Graveyard Hate to almost none. And it's also, the good thing is this deck is also good against energy. We have Emperor of the Bones and Agatha Soul Cauldron, which are great against Flage. It's super easy to exile their Flage. We got like 2 Boggart Trollers, 2 Agatha Soul Cauldrons, 2 Emperor of the Bones, all this in main. Spell Snare is great against them. Fatal Push is great against them. And Unearth is also great against them. It's like a super easy way to bring back Grist, Oculus, Kiora, and Frog. All these cards are really efficient, and Griselbrand just refills your hand more efficiently than Ring, and you can fight when they have early Ring hands, stuff like that. Okay, also on the sideboard I got additional removal, I got a Toxic Deluge, I have more Graveyard Hate, Havar Mites for rings and Goblin Bombardments or Static Prisons, whatever. So I got all I need to fight energy and all the big players in the current metagame. Really like this one, and when you ban the ring, I think this deck can only get even better, and it's also like I think pretty good right now. So it's I think it's a pretty solid choice to play at the moment. I had a great run with this deck. I went 12-3 in the 3 leagues I played with this exact same list. Before that I went 11-4 with the starting iterations of this build. So that's a total like 23 7, and that's like a pretty solid stats in this weird metagame, and it has a lot of versatility on the sideboard, which can deal with most of the decks. So yeah, I really like this one, and as I said, I was working on Agatha Soul Cauldron Reanimator build for a long time. I really like the potential of turn 3 kill with Frog plus Griselbrand, and like Agatha Soul Cauldron interaction with Emperor of the Bones and Frog and Griselbrand synergy. So this allows you to draw a bunch of cards, put counters on Frog and do insta kill, a lot of situations, and it's a great thing that all these powerful cards like Kiora, Oculus, Grist fit in so well in this deck. And yeah, okay, that is it. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment down in the video. Tell me, how do you feel about this version of Goryo's compared to the regular version playing Esper colors or 4 colors, whatever you want to call it. Which one do you prefer, and what do you think advantages of the Esper build are compared to this one? I'm really impressed with this one. I played it over the last 2 days with great result. I'm like, as I said, I'm like super impressed with this build, and I feel like it could be a strong player in the current metagame. Okay, once again, thank you for watching and goodbye.